joining us. She has been so unbelievable prepared for this show, and for me to have issues, oh my goodness. Welcome to the Craft Hour. I am hoping that everything is going well. I'm going to get Leah up in our moderator chat and we're going to get started. It wouldn't be a Saturday with the Craft Hour unless I was just a little bit stressed with technology, but who needs that when you've got that smiling face of Angela Simpson joining us from Canada. Hi, Angela. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you. Good, happy to be here.
So glad to have you here. I hope that everybody on the chat knows how much we are appreciative of you hanging in there with us as we try to find our bearings with what literally happened in 5 seconds before the show. My Canon camera completely almost burst into flames with no lens working, had to switch this camera shot, and then right as I was out to take you live, Apple decided to reboot my computer, all with my moderator waiting to talk to me, etc. So it was a little stressful. But we're
All
here
happening.
now. We have Angela. Angela, tell us a little bit about where you're coming from. You're joining us, but you have a big life adventure from the home state of Canada, and you're moving back to the States. Tell us a little bit about your journey really quick.
Yeah, so last year in April, I had to move back to Vancouver from LA, where I was for work. So I've spent the whole pandemic here, but recently got news that I am going to be able to move back to the States again. So I am actually up and out of here on December 16th. So it's a good thing that we had this live today, because any later, and I don't think it would have happened, but
I
super
totally get
excited.
it. And for you to be in between packing boxes and still having time to show off your amazing work means the world to us. So thank you so much. Everybody, I'm a little casual today because I had the joy of getting one of Jennifer McGuire's Life Handmade t-shirts from the friends at Maker Means. So we're so glad to have Jennifer's t-shirt on, a little casual day, great card making with Angela as we get to know her better. So Angela, welcome to the show. You're wearing a perfect floral shirt for the adventures we're about to have today. Before we head down to the desktop, will you show off the card that we're making today with Pinkfresh Studio products?
Yes. So today we are going to make a little striped number, which a lot of people who have followed my cards for a while probably know that I am very into my stripes. And we've got, and rather than stenciling in ink today, we're going to do a little bit of embossing action on vellum. And then you can't quite, I don't know if you can quite see the detail in the camera, but we're going to use the new folk edge rectangle to do a little frame, add some foam tape behind for some dimension, and we will we'll see what we
Have
get.
fun with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
the fun thing here is that without the inks, we can still have a lot of fun. And in fact, it matches you and I's style very well, how we have a more simple and elegant approach that didn't require inks. So we're super excited about that as well. So Miss Angela, I'm going to go ahead and pull you out of the chat and we will see you on your desktop. And we will keep on the journey for this to go well and get started on the actual piece. Does that sound good?
Great.
Awesome. All right. So see you in a second. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Craft Hour. So glad you're here. You know the rules. The more you comment and connect with Leah, our moderator in the sky, as well as with each other, we get to know you just a little bit better. So take the time to tell us if you are new with an N, and if you're here for Angela and A, and don't forget to give us a thumbs up, although I don't know we deserve it. We're actually so embarrassed that we're running a little technologically late today that we're going to be handing out 2 gift cards, which we're so excited about. The more you comment and the more you share, the more chances you have to win. So I'm going to go ahead and take Miss Angela into the room again. Angela, let's hope that we get your desktop. If not, I will try the other one real quick. Let's see. Yep, there we go. We're just going to readjust and orientate, and then we'll get you fixed. It was best laid plans, right, my friend? Let's go ahead and go down to my desktop. So Angela, go ahead and take a time to readjust your gyroscope there. I can tell you when it looks great. We've definitely practiced enough of it. Perfect. Awesome. Just a little zoom in and you'll be good to go. All right, let's head down to my desktop and review what we're going to be working with today. So today we are going to be using some shared products together, but we're also going to go and change just a little bit while keeping the same dynamic at the same time. So as Angela mentioned, we need our folk edge rectangles. So we'll be using that one today. Can't wait to open that one up. we also are going to take 2 different takes. Angela, tell everybody what you're using, and then I'll share what I'm using.
All right, so I have the diagonal stripes cover die, which was what we're going to use to make the stripes panel. And then for our floral, I'm going to use the Dahlia bunch stamp set, which was released, I want to say last month, I think, along with some other florals. So I think, Jeff, you've got the roses there.
Yeah, I'll be using garden roses today. Again, another example of how florals can be used, a simple die cut, and get the same effect. Also continues to show the diversity of the product. So I'm glad to offer something different. So color seems to be something you're so good at. You need a little bit of paper. What colorway are you using, and what was the reason you chose those colors?
So I'm a big Concord and Ninth cardstock fan, and I use Oceanside and Peacock in like everything. And Dee and I often laugh about this in our crafty chats because we call me Angela Oceanside Simpson because I use Oceanside. So my goal in choosing this color palette was not to use Oceanside or Peacock. So instead, what I have is Sorbet is my orange here. I've got some Aqua Sky. I also have Ballet Slipper, which I don't have a full sheet of here. But then I'm also mixing and matching with, this is Fuchsia from the Stamp Market and Emerald's Isle. So little collaboration of companies here today.
Perfect. And I too am a big Concord and Ninth fan, and they're friends of the show. So I'm using this colorway, but I decided to bring my sparkle in with a little bit of gold. Now, technically, I'm using the Concord and Ninth paper for that, but I just ran out of it. But their mirrored cardstock, of course, is the best. And I went ahead and did an advanced copy. So this is what that is going to look like. But I decided to use this colorway, inspired by friend of the show and fellow designer Chris Wiley, which Angela and I both adore. So why don't we start? Do you want to start trying to cut out some strips, my friend, and I'll talk to the camera?
Yes, sounds good.
What I love about your style, Angela, is that you have a great way of making all of the products, whether they're extremely floral or they are focused more in a scene, you put a little bit of geometry and composition that's slightly different. Tell me about how you found your way and how crafting came into your life.
So I used to do a lot of scrapbooking actually as a kid. And I wasn't really into card making. And throughout my teens, I kind of forgot all about my crafting hobbies. And then in 2010, I actually got into food and fitness blogging. So I was a food and fitness blogger long before I was a card making blogger. And in doing all of that, I kind of learned how to run a blog and all that sort of stuff. But I was spending an awful lot of time doing things in front of my computer and not a lot of time doing stuff with my hands, which I really like to be creative. So it was not my favorite kind of situation. And so this was back when I was living in LA, I'd been there for just a couple of months, and I thought, I'm going to really be kicking myself if I spend all this time here and I don't get to see the cities. So I decided I needed an offline hobby. And that was when I took up card making, and just fell head over heels in love with it, learned what Simon Says stamp was, and proceeded to order like absolutely everything. And have been going really strong since then. And then when I moved back to Canada, in April of last year, obviously we were all in quarantine and I wasn't able to see any friends or anything like that. So I dove into it even more and basically spent all my weekends crafting away, and in the process have met a lot of really great friends.
So it sounds like fitness has been a huge part of your journey. Everyone, I will tell you that just before the show, and still looking fabulous, showered and has full face on, she has already worked out for the day. Tell me about fitness and you, and how it's been an important part of your life and how you made part of your career. It sounds like we were saying a fitness blogging. Just tell us a little bit about how fitness has parlayed into your life so well.
So I've always been really active, like as a kid, and throughout my teens. I used to do a lot of endurance sports, so like half marathons, triathlon. And that was sort of like throughout my 20s. And then I got injured and I couldn't run anymore, which was kind of my primary sport. And I switched over to like strength training all the time and just fell head over heels in love with it and found it so much more rewarding and empowering. So that's basically what I do now. But actually last year, upon 2020 was a dark year for a lot of people, but one of the things that made mine a little more tough as well is that once I moved back, I was actually diagnosed with 2 autoimmune conditions, and that completely caught me off guard. But I was in a very poorly way and lost a lot of strength. I was in a lot of pain, and because fitness has been like such a big part of my identity, it was very like confidence crushing as well, because I literally couldn't do anything but like go for walks and do yoga. But thankfully I was able to get help from a lot of doctors to get me better, and now just feel so grateful. Like honestly, don't even take being able to, get out of bed without being in any pain for granted. Like I just feel so grateful for all the lessons I've learned along the way. And so, yeah, now it's just really fun to get back in the gym because I feel like a completely new person. Well, I feel like my old self, but better.
I agree. I wish that fitness was a stronger part of my life. I need to get back into it. I've just been trying to figure out a way to be pandemic minded, but also health minded. And I need to find that journey as well. So I'm glad that we have a new friendship that you can help me along that way and keep with the inspiration. Angela and I will be talking about the connection, as we often do, as we create and connect here at Pinkfresh Studio, in a few minutes, about how this community is lifted up, especially as she's identified the autoimmune that she has. Well, let's check in with you. Welcome to the show. So glad to see you all participating, joining in. And it's just one of those things where I got to tell you, I can have best laid plans. Angela and I rehearsed last night, and then bam, right before the goblins get us. Favorite designer Anne is here. Michelle Myers, welcome to the show. So glad that you're here. TJ, Terry, Lori Cohen, always so supportive. Ingrid Aries says that she's so glad that you turned to card making, which I agree. Don't forget, everybody, hit that in if you're new to the show. We'd love to know if you've joined us for the first time. If you're here for Angela, as you can see, she is stripping her card colors up so that we can make a beautiful background. I'm a little ahead of the game knowing that I had to host, and I'm glad that I did with all the technical issues that we had earlier. Michelle Meyer says, I recently took up yoga to stay active, slow enough, but keeps me moving at least, which Angela, I'm sure you agree is just something that will help anybody on their fitness journey, is if you at least start moving.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's amazing what a difference it makes. I mean, during the pandemic, when we couldn't go to gyms or we were kind of limited in terms of like fitness activities, if you were like a real class person or something like that, I know it would have been a challenge. And it was a challenge for me not to just have like the social part of being in a gym, but it's amazing what even just getting out for a walk can do for your mental health. And I feel like it's probably been the most underrated form of fitness up until last year, when it was all anyone could do.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, sharing my desktop for just a minute, striping along. As you know, I did mine in advance. The great thing about stripping is you get a panel that you can use for multiple things. And look at Angela, she's all set to go as well. Similar themes, but the main heart of the background will be the fact that we're giving it a beautiful matte border with our folk frame set in just a second. So will you hold yours up just a little bit too? So as you can see, everybody, I cheated. I told you that my gold was running out. So I wanted to use that mirrored cardstock. So what I did is I just put it at the heart, and I'm not worried about these white edges because they won't be seen. And the best part of strips is that you can save them for later and get double the cards done, which is awesome. All right. Again, thank you so much. Everybody's interacting in the chat. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. I don't know if I deserve it yet, but we eventually will deserve a thumbs up for the show. And remember, it helps us do more on Instagram and YouTube. What's up next, my friend? What do we do to move this along?
Alrighty, so now we're not quite done with the die cutting.
Okay.
We are to do our white frame next. So
perfect.
Right, I have two just white A2 panels. We're going to use one of them to be the thick frame on the card, and then the other one is what we're going to use to cut our folk edge frames for around our striped area. So the first step here will be to take one of the card panels and trim it down to 4 inches wide by 5¼ inches tall. And that's so just a little bit smaller than your regular A2 card base. So I'll grab my trimmer, and we want 4 inches wide by 5¼ inches. So that's going to be our thick white frame. And then we want to take the folk edge rectangles set. And I'm going to pull up my Make Art station here, which is, as you can see, very well loved with its missing grid marks, but it's okay. I use it for everything. And the folk edge rectangles. So what we want here is the smallest two in the set. So you can see with this one, it's no folk edge. It's just like a regular rectangle. And then here's the one that actually has the folk edge print on it. So I like to tape these together so that my frames are exactly the same, because we're going to cut them twice. But before we do that, we'll do the actual the actual hole in the card, so our window basically. So I'm going to basically use my Make Art here to try and get that as centered as I possibly can. And
yeah, I was wondering why we were getting the Make Art out, so that helps clarify. That's going to give us the perfect border and alignment that we need, right?
Exactly, yeah. So I usually like to just use the magnetic ruler to bump the bottom of the die against, and then I can kind of look to either side here to see that I'm like one and a little bit on each side. So once I've got it in place, I'll just use a little bit of my low tack tape. Don't want that coming loose.
Angela, I'm going to have to eyeline it, my friend. I can't find my magnetic ruler.
No problem.
But I take it I'm just aiming for a beautiful matte center and just making it as centered as possible, right?
Yeah, that's right. So once I've got that die in place, I will bring in my big shot.
And I'm so sorry, am I doing the folk edge one or the center one?
Just the center one, the no line one, just the plain rectangle. Yeah. So I'm gonna stick that in my die cutting machine and pop it through. I only christened these plates with their first cut yesterday, so they're extra snappy this morning.
Hey, your best friend Dee is here. Dee was on the show last week, everybody, or not last week, our last episode. I hope you check it out. It was fantastic to have Lee on the show. So glad that you're here. Barbara, thanks for the nice comments. Lori says that these folk edges are so pretty, and of course welcomes her fellow designer friend Dee to the show. She loves the fact that you use the Make Art set. She needs a new ruler for hers as well.
Yeah, I think mine's seen better days, that's for sure. So then once my inner frame is cut, I'm gonna go and take my other white A2 panel. You don't need to trim this one down or anything, but this time we're gonna take both of the rectangles and tape them together to make a frame. And once I do this, we'll get the frame that you see on the card. So I'm just using the low tack tape to make sure that the spacing is the same between each one, which is a little off there. There we go.
And the thing about this one is that I'm just making a frame, so I don't have to be perfect in the center. I just need to make a perfect frame. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't need to necessarily need to tape it to the cardstock this time. But if you do it like quite tight over to the edge, you should be able to get 2 frame cuts out of the same piece of cardstock.
Oh, the efficiency. She's not going to waste cardstock, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no, you should see my stripe stash. I'm in there regularly. I do not like to waste. Okay. So
today, for the magic of television, I am going to waste just a little bit so I can stay on schedule with you.
Oh, that's quite all right. Oops. Maybe I do want to take that down just a little bit.
So when people comment on your style, and that's one of the things that drew me to you as far as wanting to connect. And then, of course, you were so kind over socials. Whose style do you typically get drawn to, and where do you find a lot of your inspiration?
Oh, well, I can't not say that I was first inspired by Laura and Carissa. You know what? I think that panel might have started off a little small. I think I need a new one too. Can't get two out of the same one. Definitely Laura Basson and Carissa have been two of my card making idols. Jennifer McGuire, of course. And as far as like design for my own cards, I actually don't get a lot of the inspo from the card making world. As one of my other hobbies, one actually that I took up during quarantine, I started doing crochet. And I've made a whole bunch of stuff since then. And it sounds so weird because that feels very unrelated to card making, but I'll come up with ideas when I'm just like sitting and crocheting and basically not making cards for cards. I also get a lot of inspiration from things like product packaging, and Pinterest, but generally like nothing that is actually paper crafts. I like a lot of geometry and combining that with Pinkfresh's gorgeous florals.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I've been loving about working with Pinkfresh is the fact that if they present a certain image as they maybe put it on the back or what the original designer intended, what I love is that we can rely on the Pinkfresh Studio galleries, whether they be on social media, YouTube videos, etc., to showcase the diversity of not just product. We talk about that all the time on the show, but talking about how depending on your style, so for me, I would love a more masculine, non-floral feel, but I use so many florals from Pinkfresh Studio because they can have such change and diversity based on your personal style. So like I said, the one thing I do is I was drawn to you because of your choice of colorways. You never lose a sense of sort of that inspiration of Laura Fedora as well as Carissa. And then of course, we're seeing that a lot from Dee right now. You can make it your own, but still rely on the designer aesthetic that Kennerelia and Heather have designed for Pinkfresh Studio. And so today, I would say that it's still very much me while incorporating the Pinkfresh product. So I love that. So with this, do you think I'm right? Is that fair? Do you think that's
I think you're totally right. I love Pinkfresh's products because I feel like each of the members of the design team are able to bring their own style to it and showcase the products in such different ways. I'm always like, when we do Instagram hops and stuff and I go around and see what everyone else has created, I get so excited because everything looks so different. And I can also tell like based on whose feed I'm looking at without actually looking at who it was. I'm like, oh, that's like a Yaz card or that's a D card. Yeah.
And you can, even when the styles are same, like a Carissa or a Yaz or a D, they never lose who they are. And you're right. You can clock it, but you can clock it in all the right ways. And then you love that it's Pinkfresh products. So the folk art die, of course, completely elegant, a lot more elegant than I thought it was going to be. Super excited about the elevation that it will give the drama of this card. So to do that, we're poking out the center holes so that we can really get some shadow and dimension on the matte frame that Angela created for us. And as you can see by taking a peek down at my desktop, you see the stripping that I didn't have to use a lot of strips to get the same effect and have that color punch, which will be perfectly framed and accented by the florals. Again, we're using two different ones to show you the diversity of the product.
And the reason
look at the elegance of having the holes punched out, and it really gives a lot more drama. So let's give a sneak peek to sort of what we're working with here. This is where Angela is heading us. Look at that, so great and completely Angela's style. Let's go back to the comments for a second. Pinkfresh Studios have become my favorite product, says Marsha. Marsha, we love that, which is great. Stacy says, love Pinkfresh. I was never into florals. Same, my friend, until I got with them. Now they make it so easy. Ingrid says that she loves the designers. They all share such beautiful inspiration. And Vicki loves the blog hops that we have in order to get even more inspiration. All right, my friend, what are you doing there that I can do it? I see two. I hope I only needed one. Did I need to do two of these?
It's okay if you just have one. I did too, because I like to stack them on top of each other for a bit of extra dimension. You could you could pop one forward with foam tape if you wanted, but you would lose the like the cutout detail on the border. So that's why I like the liquid glue. And I also find that the liquid glue allows me, when I am stacking them like this, it gives you a few seconds to kind of like mush things around to make sure they're all aligned.
They're perfectly aligned.
But
today, just for my anxiety, since the show was late, I'm just going to do one. Are you okay with me? Is it okay to go ahead and apply it around the frame, or is it too early?
No, that's exactly what we're going to do next. So I'm going to use my liquid glue to do that now. You can use whatever you like.
Awesome.
Yeah. So we'll stick that on top, and then we'll get to embossing our florals here. And in the past, I was not a big liquid glue person at all, but I've really started to like it lately. I'm usually more of like a double-sided tape kind of girl, but I just, sometimes when you put something down the first time, it's not quite right and you need to adjust, and liquid glue lets you do that.
I agree. The adjustment definitely is a great assistance to that first time. Like right now, when I'm going to try to fits with it until it gets just perfect.
And even with the magic of my maker, I've still managed to cut that panel not in the middle, and I don't know how that happened. You know what? Let me just make me one second.
So tell me a little bit about the fact that as you were shared that your autoimmune was going to be part of your life, how the crafting community connected and made you feel a little better. We'll start with our friend and amazing leader, Leah. It's just that example of connection, right? And how we all kind of come together during the weird stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually, on one of my crafty weekends, early in the diagnosis days when I was still having a lot of symptoms, I was listening to the Life Handmade podcast while I crafted. And that's one of the podcasts that I listen to all the time. I love that one from scrapbook.com. So
shout out to our friends at scrapbook.com and the Life Handmade podcast. Leah and myself have been on the show several times. We look forward to you downloading on your favorite podcast listening device, because as Angela shares, it's a great way to connect and hear more about life as much as crafting. So it sounds like Leah's episode inspired me to love the show even more, because I was getting to know Leah, but it also inspired you. Tell everybody a little bit about hearing Leah's podcast.
Yeah, so listening to Leah's story, she was talking about some hardship that she's faced in her life. And it was just one of those days where you just needed to know that you weren't the only one in the world that was struggling with something. And I remember reaching out to her just to say that, like, I just found so much comfort and just like understanding and listening to that podcast. Granted, we were going through very, very different things, but after that, I was like, hey, I haven't actually used any Pinkfresh products. Like, I'm going to give those a try. And then just kind of got to chatting to Leah a little bit more. And I think that's been one of my favorite things about crafting and all of this happening like virtually now, is that I've connected with so many new friends who I would also, like, many of whom I would consider like just as close or even closer than some of my real life friends. So that's been a really, really nice part of it all.
Yeah, Leah speaks so eloquently about grief, but she also gives great tips on how to process grief, how to call grief and give it a name, and to make sure that you're present so that you can be present for bigger things. But yeah, be sure to check out that episode and know that it definitely helped me as well. Also, Heidi Swap's episodes definitely did that as well. So yeah, Life Handmade Podcast, scrapbook.com. All right, it looks like we're moving on. Time to get some vellum and try to get some more drama. We're doing that drama by heat embossing floral sets, and we're going to add in the design element that Pinkfresh invites with florals, but we're going to do it in a whole new way and a very simple way. So it requires us to get out the Misty, right?
That is correct. Yes. So I have a piece of A2 trim or A2 size vellum in here, which is plenty large. Actually, it's just big enough, I should say, to fit my stand. So I'm just going to go ahead and place the dahlias, and you can do the same with your roses on top. So I've got the right position. Vellum's going to come up, but that's totally fine. I will just put it back down here. I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool just to make sure that we don't get any extra stick to wipe this down. And then I'll pop my magnet on top, spot where it's not going to interfere with the stamp. There we go. And then I'll get my Versamark ink out and my white embossing powder. I really like for embossing on vellum, the Gina K detail white embossing powder is by far my favorite so far. I find I get really, really consistent results with it, and it's really good for these florals that have fine lines in the art. So that is my go-to. What have you got there, Jeff?
I'm going to be using, and I already put it in a container, my buddy and fellow Dudes Craft 2 crafter, Brutus Monroe. A signature favorite for me, and his alabaster white.
Nice. I've never used that one actually. I've not used any Brutus powders, but not opposed to trying new things. I'm more than open to ordering things.
Yeah.
All right.
I have Gina's products as well. In fact, my Gina story for today is that I had my tape runner ready to go, and I cannot find her tape runner, but I have lots of replacement tape to put in the actual runner, which I need to find. So I think that I was doomed for organization and technological setup before the show even started, which leads me to the next thing I wanted to tell the audience about is the fact that a shout out to all of my guests. So if any of my guests have been on the show or you're a future guest, I just want to let you know that this is no shade toward you, but Angela gets 10 out of 10 for her preparation. She even had a Google Doc sent to Pinkfresh Studio and myself demonstrating what she was going to do, ready to go with all the descriptors possible, which I loved. Tell me a little bit about your organization, my friend.
Oh my, well, my coworkers laugh at me because I'm always the one that, like, if we're going to put together something to explain something, I'm the one that's like making the Google slides or making the document or all that kind of stuff. So I like to be organized. I like to be prepared. I'd be lying if I said I hadn't just made myself labels for my packing boxes and all that kind of stuff. But it's just my type A personality coming through really strong.
So would you call it a superpower, or does it annoy you?
I think it's like in some respects it's a good thing. It definitely helps me feel like more calm in situations, especially when I'm doing something for the first time, like a YouTube live. But sometimes it also slows me down. So I think it can be a little bit of it can be a good thing and a bad thing. Now, Jeff, I'm ready to emboss here. But are you able to mute me for a second just so that I don't blow everyone's off?
Yes, ma'am. Let me do that for you. Let me just find my mouse again, and I will mute you, and I will say hi to the audience for just a second. Good call out. All right, you're muted. Friends, I hope that you're having a great time with Pinkfresh Studio. You're watching the Craft Hour. You know, we love to create and connect with each of you. Creating and connecting is a way that gets to know each of you better, and we do that with the ability for you to comment. So I hope that you're taking a moment to interact with Leah. The more opportunities that you interact with Leah, the more chances to win. Because of our technical delay today, we're giving away 2 gift cards, and we can't wait to share them with you. And I know I'm so jealous of her organization skills. And Michelle says that she works for a non-cancer profit center and sends handmade cards to patients staying at lodging programs. Well, that's fantastic. What a kind thing. And Lori said, I just moved my parents, so she too would love to have that gene just a little bit more. All right, well, let me get my camera back to you so I can start saying hi to everybody. Superpower, I agree. So does that mean that I card everyone, you are also a type A personality? Hey, look, I'm wearing my Life Handmade, I'm sorry, not Life Handmade, Share Handmade Kindness t-shirt from Jennifer McGuire and our friends at Maker Means, makermeans.com. Be sure to check it out. Hi, Daniel Diaz, Dudes Craft 2. Glad that you're here. TJ Miller, you love being here. That's great. I'm glad that you're here. Craft Hour should be a regularly scheduled escape for you on a Saturday. Which is awesome. All right, so as you know, we are heat embossing. It looks like we are done. Remember, Miss Angela, the only problem is you have to unmute yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself, and I'm going to heat emboss for just a second as
well. All right, I'm back. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, so I have my panel here all embossed. Now what I'm going to do is move over to my die cutting machine, and we will cut this guy out. One of the things I've had a few people ask me about embossing on vellum, and this is something that I really struggled with when I was a newer crafter, because I found that the images weren't crisp. I was having all sorts of issues with like the vellum warping and stuff like that. And so one of the things that I found really helpful was to emboss from the back. I don't know who I learned that trick from, but it is either Laura, Jennifer, or Carissa, one of the three, because they taught me everything that I know. And that really helps to ensure that the embossing powder doesn't go flying off. Sometimes I don't do that, like you guys might have seen me in the video just now. And if I don't do it, it's because my Versamark ink pad is nice and juicy, which I just juiced it up before this live. And that helps to make sure that the powder doesn't blow off as well. So if you're having any issues with that, that's pretty helpful. The other thing that I learned when I was making this card for the first time is that sometimes you might feel like when you hold your vellum up against the stripes, the stripes are still a bit bold, and you want like the vellum to be a little less transparent. And one of the things you can do with that is either use like a heavier weight vellum, or what I did was I actually took like one vellum panel, backed it completely with stick-it adhesive, so like a double-sided adhesive sheet, put another piece of vellum on top, and then did my embossing on there. So you're basically getting like a double thickness vellum that is a little bit less transparent. So if you're not quite into the more see-through look, you can add another layer. So I'm just cleaning that out here.
The one thing about muting is that, and using a gun at the same time, is that I couldn't hear what you were saying. So if you gave great tips, my friend, I did not hear them.
Oh, well, we'll have to.
I heard about transparency, but I don't know when you were lining up if there was anything. So I hope that I'm going to do this right.
No problem. Nothing you don't know already, I'm sure.
Oh, sister, you give me too much credit.
Alrighty. So you're on your die cutting there, which is awesome, Jeff. The next thing that we're gonna do before we put the Misty away is doing our sentiment. So for this, I'll put my dahlia back on its plastic here.
Look at those roses. That's crazy.
How are they looking?
I'm happy. Yeah, they're gonna be fun.
Good. Yeah, I love these florals because even though the lines are thin, they just don't leave such a good crisp image. Oh, that looks beautiful. Yeah, they just leave such a nice crisp image, so you don't have to worry about double stamping. They're really, really foolproof. And so for my sentiment here, I use the Now This Is Something to Celebrate, and this is from the Charming Floral Border stamp set. Whoopsie. I store all my pieces together, and this guy just fell out of the back. One sec.
And I am using the Happy Birthday sentiments. I was falling in love with that very easy but beautifully scripted Wish Big. It just happens to fit so many occasions, which is great. Michelle has an Excel spreadsheet that she does links from her Google Docs, which helps to remind how she does the cards. I love that. There's a lot of type A's. There's a lot of people out there who are supporting you, my friend. You are not alone.
I like to hear it. So I'm going to line up my, I have like a a green sentiment strip here to coordinate with the green on my card panel. And I'm gonna stick it right in the bottom of my Misty. And this sentiment from the Charming Floral Border stamp set was actually a big long one, but I knew that that wasn't gonna fit widthwise on my card the way I wanted it to. So I just cut it in half. I used to never cut my stamps, but I did it this time. And I'm just using the help of my Misty grid paper underneath to make sure that I get it lined up as straight as I can.
I love the scripting on this. This Wish Big is fantastic. Just because I know myself, I'm going to go ahead and get 2 of them done. That way I will have one just in case it cuts wrong.
I'm holding that in place there with my bar magnet, and then I will close her up, give her a wipe, and back.
I'm going to go back to white for my embossing, or what did you decide?
Yeah, I'm doing white as well. I really like the contrast between that and like the more vibrant green. I like my metallics, like my golds and my silvers. Those are probably my other most used embossing powders, but when it comes to using like a darker color of cardstock, I just find that the white shows up a lot better.
Miss Leah, in the private producer chat, will you just tell me how we're running on time? I've lost all sense of time. It's 1:03, which means that we started late. So I don't think we've been an hour. I think we're doing good on time, but I want to be respectful to everybody as well. So just tell me how you're feeling, moderator in the sky. All right, heat gun, stand by.
And because Jeff has his heat gun on, and because this is television, I'm just going to not bother with mine and pull out my little backup sentiment. So I also had a second one ready to go. Now Jeff is going to use a banner die, I believe, when he cuts his out. But one of the things you can do if you don't have a banner die is just use a pair of scissors. I'll use my little Tim Holtz ones here. And as you can see here, they've got like a little banner edge. And this is something that you can do, like I said, with a die, or you can just trim your sentiment a little bit. And I think this is a Jennifer trick. I can't quite remember, but I just cut it halfway. So about there. And then from here, it's just this simple snip from either side. You get your lines pretty close to where they need to be. So easy banner. Now we have our sentiment. Oops. There we go. Jeff's just cutting his out there, which is great. And so now, before we stick the sentiment to the card, we're gonna bring all of the pieces together because it is time for our assembly. I should probably use my make art for this. Right, and my card base. So we have all of our pieces now. So another question I get about embossing in vellum is what to use. So what is going to be most transparent? And I use these little glue dots. I think I got these ones from Ellen Hudson, and they're just like tiny little transparent glue dots, but like deceptively strong. I use this for all of my vellum things, and I usually try and just hide them underneath like the areas where there's the most embossing so that you really don't see them. And as you can see here, all I did to make this card was I used one image, but I didn't really let a lot of it go to waste. So I kind of just held this up here and decided that looks about right for like the amount of area I want to hang into the frame. So that's exactly what I'm going to do on here. And I'll just take a little bit of my temporary tape. Stick that, oops, that piece is not a little too temporary. We need something a little stronger.
Teacher, can I ask a question really quick? As you know, we did a larger A2 panel.
Yes.
Can you remind me what I need to do for my card, not my base, but my actual folding, and then teach me if you don't mind. What do I need to do here in order to start composition?
Yeah, so for your striped panel, that guy, you want to cut that one down to 3.5 inches wide by 4 3/4 tall. So what size is
okay, so this wants to go to what?
that guy? Your striped panel should be 3.5 inches wide.
So I am going to do 3.5 wide. That scares me. Okay, by what?
By 4 3/4 inch tall.
So 4, 1, 2, 3.
You got it. So it's like the smallest of all the pieces we're working with here.
Okay. And
cool.
That is going to, I mean, it looks right, but that's what you want, right?
Yes, that's right. So it's like it's still going to cover the full area behind your frame.
Yep.
Right. There you go. Perfect.
And how do I do that? Do I do that now or no?
Not yet. We're gonna stick your florals onto the white panel first, onto like the frame first, and then we'll adhere all of it to the stripes, and then we'll put the stripes on the card.
Got it.
Cool. So next, yeah, looking good. So next what I did was I took the embossed florals and I just temporarily adhered them to my white frame. And I'm using, because I can see the line of my card base underneath, I'm just using my scissors to cut straight along and trim these excess bits off.
Now the dots that you have are clear. How did you do it again? I know that you taught me this and I did not remember.
I just used temporary like washi tape to hold the flowers where I wanted them overlapping on the frame. So if you just a couple of little pieces on, should hold them, the embossed bit temporarily in place. And then you're going to trim off the edges so that you maintain the rectangle shape.
But we're not gluing anything yet.
Not yet. Okay. You're just doing your trimming. And so what I'm going to do with my leftover, I have these 3 little small leftover pieces. I'm going to take this part and this is a little different from my original, but I'm just going to adhere this extra scrap over so we have some florals happening on both sides. And because I cut that in a straight line from the other side, I don't need to do any trimming now. So I'm going to get my glue dots. And Jeff, what do you usually use for adhering vellum to cardstock? Do you have a favorite?
I don't. I'm not so practiced in that, unfortunately.
Okay. Clear glue dots are sort of my favorite. I've also used liquid adhesive in the past. But I kind of like the clears better because they hide a little better. So I'm just basically taking the areas that are most embossed on my flowers and putting the dots behind them. And I obviously don't need to put any on the areas that are gonna like hang in the middle here because they are gonna hang in the middle. They don't need to be adhered. So I'll stick one more on there. And now I'm ready to, sorry, go ahead.
The glue dots going to give us the dimension, or can I use liquid glue?
You can totally use liquid glue. The dimension's actually going to come from putting foam tape behind the white frame. Okay. Yeah, so that's going to create the shadow between the white layer and the stripes underneath it. So we're going direct to the white frame here. So I'll remove my temporary tape and stick more glue dots behind this piece. I have to say, it feels weird to chat while I'm crafting because I'm usually crafting on my own, but since Dee and I are going to be neighbors pretty soon in LA, we have grand plans to go and firstly go to Sephora and hoard all of the face mask samples and then come home and put on said face masks and just craft the afternoon away. So I'm very excited for this happening in the new year.
Yeah, there's nothing like friendships. And we learned that the amazing Dee is also moving to LA. So you're right, you have so many adventures. You were sharing last night that it also will involve a great amount of food, including poke bowls. Tell us a little bit about your foodie side.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah, like I said, I was a food blogger before I was a crafter. So if you were to go to my blog, deep beneath all of the cards is a whole lot of recipes. And I used to do nutrition consulting for people back in the day. So I have a really keen interest in food. I love cooking. And one of my favorite things to go out for is poke. LA has a ton of really good poke restaurants, and including my favorite ones are the ones that give you a ton of the pickled sushi ginger, because I eat an obscene amount of that. So anywhere that gives you lots of that is a good place in my mind. What's your favorite thing to order when you go out to eat, Jeff?
Well, I am definitely a meat and potatoes Virginia country boy. Speaking of, I'm so excited, Miss Sally, some of you know, that's what everyone calls my mom. She's in town for her annual holiday visit. So today is about flipping the house, getting Christmas ready, going sleigh riding, great dinners and cocktails with friends. So many adventures. But yeah, my mom's Southern cooking probably would not match well to your fitness lifestyle. But yeah, meat and potatoes, Southern cooking, my friend.
Well, that still sounds like a great time and the kind of food that is good this chillier time of year as well.
Right. Let me say hi to everybody in the comments as we begin to land the plane. And yeah, as you can see, Angela is moving right along. I'll say hi to everybody for just a second. Again, thanks so much for joining us today. It was super exciting to work through the drama of technology on a Saturday when everything's going well. Ugh, that was scary. But we're rocking along with Angela Simpson. We're going to find out where you can get her blog, as well as deep dive for her food recipes, the wellness being that she's journeyed, that she's gone through in her life, and how it evolved to the amazing card maker that she is. We're so excited to have her and her color and composition as well as style on the show today. Michelle says, my in-laws lived in Williamsburg for a good amount of time, right outside. That is where I have most of my life. Where are you going to go sleigh riding in Florida? Lori, we call sleigh riding our shopping adventures. So you got to pack the sleigh in order to get it exciting. And by the way, I hope everybody had a great Hanukkah. If you celebrate Hanukkah and are having a great holiday in general, I know that our Jewish friends have had a great week of fellowship and connection as they celebrate the lights of Hanukkah. Amanda Panda, you're right. Technical gremlins are obnoxious and they got us, but my amazing friend Leah came and saved the day. Virginia loves their crabs. We did. I'm from a waterman's village, so we absolutely have a lot of that. All right, let's check back on my glue job and my floral and bring us home, my friend. Tell us a little bit about how we're going to get the dimension and wrap up this card.
Alrighty, so before we get to the foam tape, let's stick your sentiment on. So to do that, I basically just tucked mine in behind the frame piece here, and just put a little piece of double-sided adhesive on the end, and then I just placed my frame right over top. So that just allows it to be secure there. You could do another one in here if you wanted to, but that piece of tape is fine, I think. And then after that is stuck on, what I'm going to do is just flip it over and put my foam tape on the back along the edges. So I have some, what is this? 1/2 inch? No, this has got to be a quarter. Yeah, 3/4 inch, which is a little bit thick. Oopsie. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off the edge. And I love a good foam tape. I don't make many cards without it. A single layer card is a real challenge for me because I love foam tape and dimensions so much. And in this case, it just adds a lot of a nice subtle shadow between the frame and the stripes beneath.
Well, we're all disciples of Laura Fedora. Miss Laura Basson teaches us that. So we understand that we have to dimension.
Absolutely. It just makes your card pop and brings the bits to life. So sticking my tape on the back here. And probably do with a little bit more.
Friends, thanks for staying a little bit later. If you've got to go, you can know you can always catch us on the replay. And in fact, if you're joining us from the replay, remember we love to have you give us a thumbs up. It helps us do so much more at Pinkfresh Studio, connect with you in all new ways. Angela, where can people find you and if they want to connect with you?
So my Instagram is at my crafty perspective. My blog is at my fresh perspective, and that's because that was created first. That's my former online self.
Okay.
And because I had the blog, I just didn't want to change the URL, but my blog is at my fresh perspective. And Instagram is really the place that I hang out most. So that is really the best place to go.
Yeah, same for me. You can find me on the handle that you see on the screen, Mr. Jeff Lindbergh. It's always an easy way to get me there.
So I have now put all my foam tape around the frame of my card. Then I just went and put my stripe panel underneath, lining it up, and placed my foam backed frame directly on top of it. And now I'm just going to use a little bit of tape runner on the back side of my frame panel. Give it a little extra stick, and then we'll mount that right on the card base.
Yeah, for me, I was so worried about not having enough gold, and the gold completely was just on one featured spot, which is interesting for,
Yeah, you do end up losing a bit of quite a few of your stripes, but I love that you got it in such a prominent place. That's awesome. There we go. And then the very last step, what I like to do with a lot of my cards, especially ones with the florals, is to put in some of these little clear Pinkfresh jewels. And again, my go-to adhesive for these is just liquid adhesive. Right now I'm using the Lawn Fawn glue tube, and I just use my tweezers to find, actually I should fish out my little embellishments first. I just use my tweezers to put them in place. Are you going to go with crystals today, Jeff, or are you going embellishment free?
Say it one more time.
Are you going to do your embellishments today? Or is that not your thing? Do you like embellishments?
Absolutely, and they will be proudly featured. But I've got to handpick them out and do it after the show. But yes, they will be. So before I go to my face shot, I will tell you that this is what mine is shaping up to be. This is my Angela Simpson take.
Amazing job. It still looks very Jeff.
Good. That's exactly what I wanted, which was awesome.
Yeah. Very.
So great.
And I know you said that you are not good at color, but I think you chose awesome colors.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with the colors that I chose. I just want to get some more composition under control there and see if I can use those embellishments, like you said, to shape it up. I may even do some gold embellishments just to give some life in the corner there, since I'm a little heavy on one side. So just to show everybody what I'm talking about, because I wanted gold to be part of it. And because I'm reading just a little bit white up here in this corner, I'll try to drop some embellishments and then bring to life a little bit of the flowers to bring the roses to life. But yeah, when you get it in the direct sunlight, you can kind of see the composition of color just a little bit better, which is great. Yeah, this is fantastic. Does Jeff like embellishment? Yes, I'm in both embellishment and word, as well as embellishment and stuff. Oh, look, Laura B is here. Jeff, I love the gold metallic strip. Well, we like to strip it up. Yeah, you know what this is, Laura? This is our favorite Concord and Ninth foil metallic, and it does such a good job. I'm out of it that I only had just a little bit left, which was good. Hey, everybody, we are going to give away 2 gift cards because y'all have been so patient. Y'all have been so kind. It has been a technological nightmare. Hey, if you get a chance, can you give us a thumbs up? I think this show is pretty darn good for all of the technical things. Don't forget to check out the fact that I am sporting Jennifer McGuire's awesome new Share Life Handmade, and create and connect verbiage looks so great when it says share handmade kindness, because it's important. I agree. You can find that at makermeans.com. And you can find all of our stuff here at the Pinkfresh Studio YouTube channel. You can see Dee, you can see Laura. In the future, you'll see Anne and everything that we're doing in order to make great products stand out on YouTube for Pinkfresh Studio. All right, are you ready to come back into the show with your face so we can say goodbye to these lovely people?
I am. Let's do it.
Awesome. Let me go ahead and get this one out. So we'll put this one in the waiting room, and then we will bring you into the show. Let's hope that I am doing the new shot. I am. You wore the perfect shirt for today. It's a Pinkfresh Studio day, so the shirt that you have, the blouse you have, is perfect. How do you think we did? We had a technological nightmare, but did you end up having fun on the show?
I did. We still, by the time we actually got on, I think we still did it in an hour. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was able to stick to the time, and it was less scary than I anticipated for this camera phobe over here. So
yeah, I found that with most of my co-hosts. They often say that at the end of the day. Friends, hey, Leah, tell us who got the gift cards. If I didn't see it, I would love to know in the producers chat. We love the fact that you participate, so we want to reward you. 2 $15 gift cards. As you know, you'll engage with Leah and she will send you out, and you can go shopping for all of these new great releases. You can catch up on your Christmas cards, or you can prepare for some New Year celebrations, or you can celebrate holidays around the world with all of our friends that celebrate in different ways. Laura, I'm so happy. I'm sorry, Lori. Oh, my friend Lori Olson. Hi, Lori. Sorry. Thank you for saying that I'm a great host. I appreciate it. Any big projects that you have to do? Do you have to do more, or is the one project called moving to LA? Is that what you're focused on?
So this was project number 1, getting through craft hour, which was great. It was a great way to start. Today I will be getting back to the boxes and packing more stuff. So that's project number 2. And then project number 3 is doing a video for an upcoming project or assignment that I've been given, which is a little scary because, as you know, video is not my usual, but it's been a really great learning experience so far. And yeah, I'm excited to venture into video a little bit, but lots to learn, that's for sure.
And it looks like in 2 to 3 days, our friends Sandy and Kim will be getting a beautiful gift card and connecting with Leah in order to go shopping. Did you see all the comments about how beautiful you are? Everyone is freaking out about how gorgeous you are. Everyone from Rebecca to our friend Laura Basson. Laura also showed her face recently on Instagram, which was a big deal with her shirt. She is also stunning as well. We're always so hard on ourselves. Why are we so hard on ourselves, Miss Fitness Blogger? What do you think that comes from?
I don't know. And I think we should all be a lot nicer, because all of the crafters that I've met are some of the most beautiful people I've ever met, inside and out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And as you were saying, helpful during times of group pandemic thought, connection when we're lonely, connection when we need a spirit lift in our health. Look at all the friends that you gained through a very disruptive time for you, but you found a beautiful new friendship that you're only going to evoke bigger in LA. It sounds like LA is going to be the place to see some of our best crafters. We're going to have to head out your way. Does that sound good?
I feel like we're going to have to host a retreat. We'll get Dee and myself, and maybe Carissa will help.
Yeah, the 3 of you.
We'll host you guys for a big, long, crafty weekend.
Sounds good. Again, make sure you leave us a comment if you're watching on the replay. Tell us if you were here for Angela with an A, N for new, and just give us comments. You can check both of us out on our Instagram pages. I know that Leah put those in the chat. I know Angela connected with me via a DM. So we connect with both of you. We're both DMers, so connect. We love to meet new people and grow this relationship. Have a great Saturday, everybody, whether you're getting ready for the holidays, you're wrapping up a holiday, or heading into a wintry time period. Stay cozy, stay crafting, and thanks for creating and connecting with us. And Angela Simpson, have a great weekend, my friend. Thanks for being brave, and thanks for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. Oh, hey, a little tease. I found out that our boss, Kennery, wants to meet you all on the show. So we'll have details soon. It's too early to announce. But if you want to hear the adventures and stories of 3 amazing ladies who are running one of the best craft companies in the biz, just know that we're working on it, and we're going to bring it to you in the new year. And keep egging Kennery, our boss, on so that she can meet you and you can interact with her and find out about the adventures of how your favorite products are made and how this company does so well. and her fascinating story. So I think it's coming up. I'm really excited. It's going to be fun to get to know her. This will be my first non-crafting craft hour. So get ready. Send in your notes about what you want me to ask Kinnery, and we'll talk about it in the new year. All right. Have a great holiday, everybody. If I don't see you, connect with me. And Angela, stunning card, stunning person. Can't wait to get to know you better. And good luck on your move, sister.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye, everybody.